Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're taking a look at every LEGO Groot minifigure that has ever been officially released. I love doing these every minifigure ever videos, and if you like them too, be sure to check out all the other ones on my channel now. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into comparing every Groot ever, starting back in 2014. So the very first Groot minifig we ever got was back in 2014, and it was this brick-built Groot. As you can see, his shoulders, his head, and the front of his chest are all attached in one giant piece. Then the rest are made up of smaller LEGO pieces to build out his legs and arms and even his torso in the back. Now, it's interesting that he has these 1x1 jumpers there because the idea was for you to be able to put Rocket Raccoon on his arm, kind of like we see in the movie. LEGO clearly was still trying to figure out like the scale of Groot, because when you see Rocket next to him, it's like, okay, I guess it's decent enough size, but when you see Star-Lord next to him, it's like, whoa, okay, Groot wasn't that big. So I think they did a pretty good job with what they were trying to accomplish as far as having Groot be very large, but he probably could have been like 2 or 3 studs shorter. Then, of course, the arms could have been, recalibrated for that. But you can see that his shoulders move, his elbows move, his wrists move back and forth. His wrists, or rather his hands, are actually made up of battle droid body parts. And really, you could just see all around that it's a pretty basic build. Nothing too crazy going on. And I don't know. I don't think it's aged very well, but it does have this kind of weird nostalgic charm to it, too. The next Groot we got is debatable if it's a minifigure or not, but it was included in the Rocket Raccoon Polybag from 2014, which came out slightly later than the sets as a Toys R Us exclusive, and it's one of those things where I didn't know if I should include it or not. If I didn't include it, there'd be a million comments asking why I didn't, and if I did include it, people will say it's not a minifig. So we'll just move on, and at least it's here. In 2017, for Guardians Volume 2, we got 2 different versions of Baby Groot. As you can see, he's this dark brown color scheme, and we would only get Groot in dark brown for one more year after this, but more on that in just a moment. These are small figures, which as you can see, have one stud that you could put to have him, move around your LEGO builds or whatever. And then his arms, his right arm is raised and his left arm is just kind of hanging out there. But as you can see, it's actually the size of a LEGO minifigure's hand. So a minifig can pick him up, as you can see. And like I said, we got 2 different versions. One where he doesn't have a Ravager jacket on, and one where he does. The one with the Ravager jacket kind of has a more disgruntled face, whereas the other one, presumably really from the beginning of the movie where he's dancing around to Mr. Blue Sky, is a lot happier. That being said, there's no printing on the back, although the Ravager outfit does have the red suit that extends the whole way around his body, and some great printing on the front and head of both figures to add in extra detail. Alright, 2018 was an awesome year to be a LEGO fan and a Marvel fan, and even better to be a LEGO Marvel fan. We got so many great minifigs that year, including not one, but two Groots from Infinity War. Now, your eyes don't deceive you, this figure is cheating just a little bit, because as you can see, he has a hole in his head from where I removed the keychain. This figure was a Target exclusive LEGO keychain Groot that had a different facial expression, but one of the first videos that ever blew up on my channel, actually, was showing how to remove that keychain from the figure, and so my version no longer has the keychain attached. That being said, you actually can't pull the figure apart or anything, other than the head, of course, because you can see that we've got that entire screw drill that goes through his body. So the only thing you can remove is the head if you remove the keychain. But regardless, this would be the final time that we get Groot in the dark brown color scheme, which is my personal favorite. You'll also notice the slight difference between the 2 figures, that the keychain version has a slightly, and when I say slightly, I do mean slight, darker print to it. It just has a little bit more definition in like the bark of the tree on the torso, and you'll see that the same is true on the back, where there's just more definition on the keychain version than the minifigure version. But the minifig version came in the Thor's Weapon Quest set, which was an awesome little set, and really all those Infinity War sets are great. Who am I kidding? That being said, let's move on. It'd be another 3 years in 2021 before we got another Groot minifigure, this time coming in the UCS-style Guardians New Ship. A really nice minifigure here. It's a great one, and overall, I do like that they gave him leg printing for the very first time on a Groot minifigure, but the color scheme changed to kind of this like sandy brown. I do not like quite as much as the dark brown that we just looked at. I get that Groot has different shades in the different movies and stuff, but I do think that this one is the closer to the way that I think of Groot in my head. So I'd be curious to hear what color scheme you guys like better, but regardless, it's still a really nice figure with way more detailed printing on the torso and legs in terms of color variation, and I think that going with a lighter brown color scheme allows for us to see more detail on Groot, but at the same time, I still like the original way better. For Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we got another brand new Groot, but really the only new thing here is the head. You'll see that the torsos and the legs are exactly identical, which in some ways is cool for consistency, but in other ways, the fact that the Guardians 3 Groot just has an older, more mature-looking face doesn't really add all that much. I suppose, too, that this one also has the shoulder piece to kind of show that he's bulked up a little bit, but overall, I felt like this figure was way too similar to the one we just looked at. It didn't really bring all that much newness to the table, but that's just me. And our final Groot minifigure, per se, we have one more to look at after this, but the final one that's at minifigure scale, well, that's the tricky thing about this, that I don't even know how to describe it. This came with the Rocket Raccoon build of the Rocket figure, and of course, this Groot is to scale with that Rocket, but he's not to scale with any other LEGO minifig. I mean, he's supposed to be Baby Groot from Volume 2, but when you put him next to Star-Lord, he's way too big. So that's the reason I'm really not a big fan of this figure, even though it does have a very nice head print and torso print. I'm not saying it's a bad figure per se, but it's not a great Groot figure in the sense that it doesn't really pair with anything except that horrible Rocket figure. And so, I don't know, I just see this and it reminds me of the set it came in, which I don't like. And at that point, it's like, well, I'm just going to go with any of the other Groots we've looked at today. So if you like this figure, that's awesome, but it is my least favorite of the comparison video today. And as of this video, our final Guardians of the Galaxy Groot minifigure is the Micro Groot figure. I don't really know what you would call these, but LEGO went back and recreated the original mold from the small one, as you can see here. I don't believe it's exactly the same because LEGO has to retire molds after 5 years of non-use, and since the last time this was out was in 2017, I think they would have had to remake a new one from scratch. Anyways, I'm not really sure. I'm going to ask the LEGO set designers about that next time I get the opportunity to speak with them. But that being said, you can see that this one actually has a little build where he's standing on two 1x1 studs inside of a bowl, and it's a really, really cool build. And once again, they have given us that kind of like lighter tan color scheme here so that it matches the most recent Groots. Personally, I like the dark brown the best, but I see merit to both. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finish out our video. Alright guys, let me know what you thought of this video in the comments down below, and let me know what other minifigure comparisons you'd like to see next. I've thought about doing an every Guardians figure ever. I don't know. There's so many great ideas, especially with the new August 2024 sets. So let me know what you guys want to see next. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.